You're listening to KZUM News on 89.3 KZUM Lincoln and KZUM HD. Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of KZUM News, an hour dedicated to learning more about what is going on in Lincoln and the surrounding areas. I am the news director and your host, Amantha Dickman. And I want to start off today's show with a thank you. Give to Lincoln Day is said and done. We raised about $20,000 in the span of 8 hours, which is incredible. You guys knocked it out of the ballpark there. And, $50,000 is nothing to scoff at either. As many of you know, that is a huge portion of the money that we use to help keep our fees paid and our equipment up to date so that you can enjoy your community programming uninterrupted. I especially want to give a special thanks to everyone who donated to the news program. We've had quite a few donations this month, actually, to KZUM News specifically, more than we have in a while, which is very nice. I'm always glad to know that I'm not just talking to myself when I'm putting the program together. Not that I'd oppose that. I'm actually really good at talking to myself. But it's still nice to know that people are out there listening. So if you donated to KZUM News, extra special thank you to you. Now, as we get into today's show, we've got a couple pieces of relatively breaking news that we're going to cover. Then we're going to learn more about the Youth Fitness Task Force and their recommendations for fitness youth. And finally, we're going to learn more about the 20th anniversary for the No Coast Roller Derby and their upcoming season. But first, I have a couple of brand new interns here to introduce themselves. So I'm going to turn the mic over to them and let them introduce themselves.
Hey guys, my name is Grace Madsen. I am one of the summer interns here at KZUM. I know summer just started, this internship just started. I've only been here in the studio for about a week now, and just in this short amount of time, I have had so much fun just working with Amantha, getting to know her, just learning more about journalism and broadcasting. Yeah, outside of the studio, I do work as a paralegal in a law firm in the Haymarket. I'm also a student. I am working towards my degree in video and audio communications, and that's kind of where this internship ties in for school with me. I grew up in Lincoln. I actually was born in Pohnpei, Micronesia, which is relatively close to the Philippines, so pretty far from here. But moved to Lincoln when I was about a year old with my parents, and I've been here ever since. I really enjoy writing, reading in my free time. I'm a pretty social person. I love going to concerts, comedy shows, just anything with a live band. But yeah, you may be hearing more from me throughout the summer as I am learning to put more of these shows together with Amantha.
So that was Grace, one of our newsroom interns. And this semester, we are incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to have 2 newsroom interns at the same time, working on their educational components and practicing in the studio so that they can prepare for producing their own content. So I'm going to go ahead and let our second intern also introduce herself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nargis Yarman. I'm basically from Afghanistan, and now I'm staying in United States. I did my graduation from high school in Afghanistan, and now I'm planning to get my journalism degree from UNL. I'm so excited for this internship to gain more experience for the career that I have chosen for my future.
So that is Grace and Nargis, and they are our 2 brand new interns for this semester, so welcome to both of them, and as you go throughout the next couple of weeks, expect to hear a little more as they get started on crafting their own content, pitching their own stories, and putting those together. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into the content for today, starting off with some relatively breaking news. The Department of Health and Human Services is sending out its 3rd issuance of Summer Electronic Benefit Transfer Benefits today. Throughout the 2025 summer EBT period, households with eligible school-aged children can receive assistance in buying groceries with the program's 2nd year of operation. A one-time payment of $120 will be issued for each eligible child, intended to cover the 3 summer months at $40 a month. The 3rd issuance will be sent to eligible students as reported by school districts and any new eligibility determinations through public assistance benefits and summer EBT applications. Summer EBT cards will be mailed to eligible families using their registered address with DHHS or their child's school. Once families receive the summer EBT card, it must be activated using the instructions mailed with the card. Eligible families will have 122 days, or 4 months, to use summer EBT benefits. The 122-day count begins the day after benefits are issued. If benefits are not used within 122 days, funds will be returned to the federal government and cannot be reissued. Summer EBT benefits can be used to purchase food at grocery stores, online food retailers, and farmers markets that accept SNAP EBT. Additional issuances will be announced and sent out on June 26th, July 17th, August 12th, and September 9th. DHHS asks that you allow 7 to 15 business days for the card to arrive in the mail. For more information on the program or to fill out an application, you can visit dhhs.ne.gov/pages/summer EBT. Community leaders from across Lincoln gathered at the Lincoln Bike Kitchen on Wednesday, June 4th, to unveil an action plan aimed at improving youth fitness, sports access, and physical activity opportunities across the city. Sherry Weiss-Shanks, the executive director of the Lincoln Bike Kitchen, spoke about collaboration efforts between community leaders in developing the plan.
So many of you are part of our mission, and we thank you for all the support that you've given us. Right now, the Bike Kitchen has just continued to grow, and last year we had 1,600 bicycles distributed in the community. It's the highest we've ever been. So to give you a little context where we're at, as of May 1st, we were 40% ahead of where we are from last year. And I'll tell you what, it is just like wildfire, and we love it. Our biggest challenge is we need 20-inch bicycles, so I got to put that plug out there. Kids' bikes, we're down 90 requests as of today. So we keep working at it, but we are so grateful to have our partners here with the Community Health Endowment. They have been such great support, and they're one of the big reasons we are in this facility today. So I would like to introduce Blake. Come up next. Thank you so much.
The plan was inspired by data that revealed decreasing rates of school children in grades 4 through 8 successfully completing an aerobic capacity test called the PACER. The overall pass rate fell from 74.9 in 2018 to 2019 to 67.5% in 2023-2024. Lincoln community leaders have stated that their goal is to have 80% of participating children pass the test. Blake Anderson, Community Health Endowment Trustee and member of the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Task Force, and J.J. Yost, Assistant Director of the Parks and Recreation of the City of Lincoln, expanded on the ways collaborators plan to work together to provide more fitness opportunities.
Good afternoon. I'm Blake Anderson, and I serve as the treasurer on the Board of Trustees for the Community Health Endowment. I've also had the honor of serving on the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Task Force over the last 9 months. Growing up in Lincoln, I was lucky enough to participate in many youth sports activities, from the small fry basketball courts at the Salvation Army to the YMCA soccer fields. Now, as a parent of kids involved in dance, hockey, flag football, and various other activities, I've been able to see the many benefits that youth fitness and sports can create. Kids get to learn and develop good, active habits. They set goals, overcome challenges, and celebrate successes. Sports can develop teamwork skills and understanding what it means to be a good teammate. I've also been able to observe the challenges and barriers that continue to exist in getting kids active. Things like finding places and spaces to play and practice, getting and keeping coaches, volunteers, and referees to help run these organizations. Affordability between registration fees, equipment, and transportation. It creates significant barriers to both initial participation as well as ongoing involvement. Then there are all the other activities competing for kids' time and attention, notably the challenges around screens and devices. Although I represented the Board of Trustees on this committee, understanding all these benefits and challenges as a parent is really what brought me to this work. In 2022, the Community Health Endowment released updated Place Matters data that showed something that we couldn't ignore. Youth aerobic fitness in Lincoln was not only declining, but also unequally distributed across our community. Fewer than 70% of Lincoln youth were passing the PACER test, a marker of aerobic health, and we knew we could do better. CHE issued a call to action, and from that, the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Task Force was formed. More than 30 individuals answered the call, representing Lincoln Public Schools, the city, Bryan Health, nonprofits, businesses, funders, coaches, and the youth themselves. What I appreciated most about this group was how action-focused it was. We didn't just talk about what the problem was, we asked, what can we do about it? What are the real practical steps we can take, all of us, to make sure every child in Lincoln has access to a variety of sports and fitness opportunities? Out of this work came 5 task force recommendations to the Lincoln community that we are excited to share today. They are based on data, yes, but also lived experience, community feedback, and cross-sector collaboration. They call on all of us in the community to think differently, invest boldly, and work together to create a more active and inclusive Lincoln. This won't be an easy fix, but we believe that taking this challenge on is a necessary and exciting step in making Lincoln the healthiest city in the nation. On behalf of the CHE Board of Trustees, I want to thank everyone who contributed to this work, as well as those who will help bring it to life. Let's keep moving forward together. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm J.J. Yost, and I'm the Assistant Director for Lincoln Parks and Recreation. Excuse me. I've also had the honor of serving on the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Steering Committee, and a part of the task force that put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into the creation of these recommendations. The task force firmly believes that Lincoln can be a place where everyone, including young people throughout the community, have the opportunity to be active, healthy, and included. One of the things that stood out for me throughout this process was the passion and the excitement to serve the youth of Lincoln that each of the task force members brought to the table. I've had the privilege of working for the Lincoln Parks and Recreation Department for a very long time, and thus have a front row seat to so many good things happening across the community, both recreational facilities and fitness programming. This job's given me the opportunity to see how movement and activities connect people and places, how a trail, a park, or perhaps a youth program can become the heartbeat of a neighborhood. The good news is that Lincoln already has a strong foundation. We have great partners, both public and nonprofit allied organizations. We have good, talented people throughout those agencies and organizations, and we are a community that values the health and well-being of its young people. So this report doesn't start from scratch. It builds on that momentum. It offers a clear, community-informed roadmap to take what's working and expand it, to fill in the gaps with purpose, and to collaborate across systems that lift everyone. No doubt there are barriers, whether it's cost, location, or limited awareness, but we also know that when we work collectively and pull together, we can make real progress. I'm hopeful these recommendations create a path to making improvements, to making a difference. I'm pleased to have been part of the task force, and I want to take this opportunity to thank community members who contributed their voices. And I also want to thank the Community Health Endowment for their leadership and their vision. Lincoln Parks and Recreation is always on the move to be part of making a difference in a healthier, more active community. And we hold a strong belief in Lincoln's youth. Thank you.
The recommended actions, developed by the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Task Force, are outlined in a report compiled by the Community Health Endowment, encouraging community organizations, schools, city leaders, and families to participate. Dr. Karen Kasbaum, a global inclusion leader at Huddle and a member of the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Steering Committee, spoke more about the recommended actions and how community leaders plan to address those needs.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen, Doctor. Ooh, look at me. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Karen Kasbaum. I serve as the Global Inclusion Lead at Huddle. On behalf of the steering committee, I'm honored to share the 5 key recommendations developed by the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Task Force. I also have the opportunity to serve as one of the tri-chairs of this effort. This work has been deeply meaningful to me personally and professionally. At Huddle, we think a lot about movement. We think about competition, teamwork, and how technology can support athletes and coaches to give every athlete the shot that they deserve. This process reminded me again and again that movement and access doesn't just belong to athletes, it belongs to everyone. It's up to us to create conditions where everyone has the chance to move and grow and thrive, to be included in the community programs that helps individuals physically, emotionally, and socially. That's what this report is all about. And that's why we didn't stop with data. We built action. We also recognize something important. We're not starting from scratch, which JJ mentioned. Lincoln already has incredible momentum when it comes to youth fitness and opportunity. Programs like Lincoln Bike Kitchen, where we are today, Bikes for Families, Community Learning Center Leagues, the Malone Center. They're offering free accessible sports teams or team sports. The YMCA, city pools, we were talking about that earlier. City pools teach students and kids how to swim. Our public parks and trails give families safe, welcoming space to be active. And through LPS, they have direct access to thousands of children and families every day through physical education. This report builds on that momentum. So together we developed 5 key recommendations for Lincoln. So let's start with one. One is we need to create a backbone organization which will serve as a central body to coordinate efforts, secure funding, and measure impact. The backbone organization hasn't yet been identified. 2, expand fitness opportunities in schools and early childhood, starting young and supporting movement from the ground up. 3, increase community-based fitness access through things like equipment banks, neighborhood events, and local programs. 4, promote physical activity through health providers, one of my favorites, encouraging doctors and clinicians to prescribe movement and connect families to resources. 5, improve access to public facilities, especially by revisiting policies between the city and LPS to make sure everyone has fair access to fitness space. These aren't dreams. They're achievable, community-driven actions. And they reflect what we've heard over and over again about Lincoln. Lincoln wants to do better for its youth, and we can. But we need your help to turn these recommendations into reality. So here's what you all can do right now. You can visit the website at www.youthfitnesslincoln.org to read the full report, so you're educated. Reach out if you or your organization wants to be a part of the next phase of this awesome work. And if you're able, please consider sharing to support this vision. Every contribution helps us move closer to Lincoln, where all youth can thrive through movement. Thank you to CHE and my passion partners, the tri-chairs, the full task force who spread throughout this whole room, and the youth who shared their voices, and to all of you for being a part of this. This is how change begins, with listening, collaboration, and action. Let's make this momentum continue for this generation and the next.
Ellie Ekman, a Lincoln Southwest high school student and a member of the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Task Force, spoke about the way she believes the recommended actions can benefit Lincoln Public School students and community members.
Hi everyone, my name is Ellie Ekman and I am a student athlete at Lincoln Southwest High School. I play volleyball for school and club and I participate in show choir at school. I served on the Youth Fitness, Sports, and Opportunity Task Force. I was interested in joining the task force because I love being active and want everyone who is interested to participate in athletics to have the opportunity. I also wanted to be a part of the task force because I believe that the topic is one that needs attention and needs to be worked towards. I also hoped that I could help by bringing a youth perspective. Through my participation in the task force, I learned more about the issues that our community faces in youth fitness, was able to gain more perspective about those obstacles, and also learned what solutions could address them. By being on the task force, I've been able to work with many people who all share a passion for the physical well-being of youth and who all want to make a difference to help better the future of Lincoln. While I have narrowed my focus to volleyball, I have participated in many sports throughout my childhood, including basketball, soccer, tennis, and more. Being involved in these fitness activities throughout my life has had many benefits. I have been able to build strong relationships with my teammates and made new friends. I have been able to stay healthy and fit through my participation in sports and show choir, and I've also been able to just have fun. Sports and physical activity have been a huge part of my life, and I've had a large influence on who I am today. Personally, I know that I have not faced as many barriers as others, but I can still recognize that there are many obstacles that may prevent people from participating in sports or being physically active in general. Some of these barriers include the financial cost of being on a team, especially if they are participating on a club team, as well as the difficulty of finding the space or equipment needed for a sport or activity. Solutions need to be implemented so that the number of barriers are reduced, which can allow for more of the youth in our city to stay physically fit and active. That's why I think this work is so important. The recommendations in this report aren't just about increasing physical activity. They're about creating real, lasting change. They challenge us to remove the barriers that leave some kids out, to support youth in ways that strengthen both physical and mental health, and to reimagine what movement looks like across our city. These ideas call on us to make fitness more inclusive and accessible and meaningful for every young person in every neighborhood. Because movement doesn't just build strength, it builds confidence, connection, and community. Being on the task force gave me a voice, and it showed me how many adults in this city are really listening. It gave me hope that Lincoln can be a place where every kid, no matter where they live or what their family can afford, can grow up with opportunities to move, to be included, and to thrive. I'm proud of the work we've done, and I hope these recommendations lead to real change. Not just for my generation, but for every young person growing up in Lincoln.
The work of the task force builds on the data and community engagement efforts led by the Community Health Endowment, including findings from its Place Matters initiative and a 2022 study on youth sports access. The full report and recommended actions are available at www.youthfitlincoln.org. And with that, we're coming up on our mid-hour break. We're going to take it just a little bit early this afternoon, and when we come back, we will be sitting down with a skater from the No Coast Roller Derby to learn more about their 20th anniversary and their upcoming season. Don't go anywhere, and stay tuned.
Support for KZUM comes from Lincoln Pharmacy, a local neighborhood pharmacy located at 33rd and A Streets, offering medication therapy management, adherence packaging, medical supplies, prescription delivery, COVID and flu vaccines, and more. Open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 till 4. More information is available at lincoln-rx.com.
And from
No Coast Roller Derby, a skater-owned and operated nonprofit organization since 2005. The opening event of the 2025 season is February 22nd at the Lincoln Sports Foundation Complex at 7600 North 70th Street. Doors open at 4 and the bout starts at 5 p.m. Tickets and more information are available at nocoastrollerderby.com.
Your Malone Community Center continues to be a cornerstone of cultural, educational, and social programming. The center is home to an out-of-school program. The lead agency for 2 community learning centers hosts a weekly food distribution service along with other programs. For more information on the Malone Community Center, please contact our office at 402-474-1110 or go to our website www.maloncenter.org. Celebrating the heritage of service since 1955, Your Malone Community Center.
For 50 years, CenterPoint has provided mental health and substance use services in Lincoln. In 2020, CenterPoint added primary care services, and now they are expanding with their new campus for health and well-being. At the campus, primary care offerings are available for all ages, whether you are enrolled in the CenterPoint programs or not. Services include immunizations, women's health care, STD testing, allergy management, physicals, and sick visits. CenterPoint has low and no-cost options for those who are eligible. Appointments may be scheduled by phone at 402-475-5161. More information about CenterPoint services is available at www.centerpoint.org.
Hello, and welcome back to today's episode of KZUM News. My name is Samantha Dickman, and I am your host for the second half of today's show. The No Coast Roller Derby is celebrating their 20th anniversary with the beginning of their home season at the Icebox Arena on Saturday, June 7th. We sat down with skater Katie Lamke, also known as Honey to her fellow team members, to discuss 20 years of history and their upcoming season. All right. So the No Coast Roller Derby is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, and you are about to have your first home season game here at the Icebox, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's coming up here this Saturday.
That's really
June
exciting.
7th. Yeah. Yeah, we're hoping that it's going to have a good turnout. It's going to be our first game, right? So we're dropping the ticket price down to $3 to hopefully get some new fans in, or people that maybe haven't seen roller derby since the Pershing days. And it's going to be a pride theme, so there's going to be a drag performance, and it's going to be a fun game for sure.
So I'm going to level with you. I have never seen a roller derby game before. How long is your average season in roller derby? Is that a year-round thing since it's an indoor sport, really?
Yeah, so most of our competitive games sort of run late spring through the summer, but we'll pretty much practice all year round. We take breaks around the holidays, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty much year round.
That sounds like an intense schedule.
Yeah, but it's fun, like you go and you join the sport as an adult, right? A lot of people are coming because they're either trying to make friends in the community, or they need a new hobby, or they need that third place where, you have your work life, you have your home life, and then you need somewhere else. And so roller derby is a really good place for a lot of people. So it's definitely a commitment, but it's, a lot of people going to practice to hang out with their friends. We're being physical, but we're also getting social time together.
And No Coast Roller Derby, which is our local community that is surrounding roller derby, kind of has two teams, right? Can you tell me a little more about those two teams and what the difference is there?
Yeah, so roller derby, functions off of a lot of puns, right? So our A team, which is our sanctioned team that goes and travels around the United States, sometimes we play internationally, is our Mad Maxines. And so this team is actually ranked 13th out of, I think, 85 teams right now. And then we have our B team, or the Road Warriors, that it's either newer skaters or maybe skaters that don't want to play at a higher level, that are going to still be playing teams from like South Dakota, Kansas, other local teams. So there's a spot for everybody on this sport.
So for folks who are traveling, are they the ones who are doing that year-round season, whereas the B team has kind of a more relaxed season, or are they both just training year-round, doing games all year?
Yeah, pretty much everyone is training year-round. So we both have our practices at the same time in the same place, and we just kind of split off into our groups. We have our own tracks, and sometimes we'll work together if it's a skill or maybe some basic footwork that everybody can benefit from. But when we start to more move into strategy and more specific gameplay, then we'll sort of work individually with our teams.
True.
Yeah.
So 20 years on the rink, I suppose, is what you would say. I almost said on the ice, but that is the wrong sport. Sure.
We call it the track.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
Sure. I can see it now.
Yeah.
But when you have 20 years on the track, can you talk a little bit about how No Coast got its start?
Yeah, so what I have heard through the grapevine, I was obviously not around when the team started, but I'm lucky to have met and skated with a few of those skaters. It was a group of girls who had gone down to Austin, Texas, I think it was, and they had seen a roller derby team, and it was sort of just getting going back in the early 2000s. And a few of those girls came back to Lincoln and were like, yeah, we got to get this going here. And so slowly they started building. They got a group of girls together. And then I don't remember what year it was that they started getting really serious and started making those championship playoffs. But No Coast was ranked in the top 10 for quite a few years. And, we go in waves, right? There are some years where the team is really competitive and ranking high. And then there are some years when it's like building, right? You're losing players, you're gaining new players, you're sort of finding your new rhythm. And so it fluctuates for sure. But yeah, there have been a lot of people that have come through the sport, and a lot of people in Lincoln, I think, if they've been to roller derby, they know about the team playing at Pershing, right? That big auditorium. It's really like hard-hitting entertainment. You're going and it's a fun time. And since Pershing closed, quite a few of those fans have dropped off, or maybe their favorite skaters that they used to watch aren't on the team anymore. And so we're kind of in this rebuilding phase right now where we have a lot of new skaters. We've got some new fans that those new skaters are bringing in. We've got new connections in the community. And so we're trying to invite people back to roller derby. A lot of people are like, oh, you're back. And it's like, well, we've been here, but we're trying to rebuild. So we're trying to get more people to come experience roller derby.
And so in the aftermath of Pershing closing, was that a stressful time for the team trying to find a different location that you can practice at, that you can host your events at? Or did you kind of just know, you're like, we're going to go here?
I can't actually speak to that. I wasn't on the team at that time.
Gotcha.
So we've been practicing at Lincoln Sports Foundation, which was formerly the Abbott Center up there on the North 70th or so. And that's been a wonderful facility for us. You know, it's sport court and they allow us to keep our track there year round. So our adults team and our No Coast Junior League practices there, which is for kids age 6 to 18. And so that's been a really wonderful home for us because at the ice box, you know, they have ice in there for the Stars most of the season. So having Lincoln Sports Foundation is a really good facility that allows us to keep practicing until it's time for our competitive season, if you will.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history behind the team. And how long have you been with the team? Like, what's your history with No Coast? How'd you get started?
I started in 2017. And I had moved here. I didn't know anybody. I was starting a grad program at UNL, and I needed some friends. I needed to meet people. And for me, sports have always been a great way to get to know the community or build up those relationships. And at the time, Skate Zone was still a thing. And I had seen an ad like for roller derby. And I grew up kind of skating, rollerblading around the block, you know. And I was like, okay, that might be fun. I'm sure some cool people do that. And so I sent them an email and they're like, yeah, we're doing recruitment right now. Come check it out. And I was hooked. You know, I strapped on a pair of skates and haven't looked back since.
What does recruitment look like in this case? Is it like a formal application process or you just get to go skate?
Yeah. So believe it or not, most people that join the sport have never skated before.
Oh.
Like it literally anybody can sign up for this freaking sport. And so recruitment, we run a whole month where we will teach you how to put on your skates, how to stand up in your skates, how to fall properly, right? Because we're out there wearing knee pads, elbow pads, wrist guards, a helmet, a mouth guard. So there's a lot of like safety involved in the sport before you can actually play. You have to learn how to be safe on the track. And so it's a lot of just teaching basics, like here's how you take a step, here's how you use your brakes, here's how you turn around, here's how you fall on your knees, here's how you get up. And it's quite a commitment. Like going through recruitment, I think is 3 to 4 days a week for a whole month, you know, but then once you complete that, there's not really a tryout. It's like, if you can stick it out for that month and you want to keep coming back and hanging out with these people, so be it.
Now, I will say that even though I've never been to a roller derby game, I did do a lot of inline skating as a kid. So when you're describing this recruitment process and this learning process, do you guys use inline skates or like rollerblades or traditional like four-wheel roller skates?
We are on those traditional quads.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And that was something that I had to learn too, because like you, I grew up rollerblading and doing the inlines, but I picked it up pretty easily.
Well, it's a very different technique with braking. That's what I was really thinking.
Totally. Yeah. That was the hardest thing for me to learn. But now, like when I think about putting on rollerblades, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I could do that anymore.
Really?
I mean, I'm sure I would be able to, but the braking, just like you're talking about, toe versus heel, it's a
very different
muscle memory. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I did pick up a pair of the traditional quads so that my partner's a runner. So I rollerblade while he runs. And it took me like 2 months to remember that the brake is on the front, not the back.
Yeah.
Even years after I stopped inline skating, that muscle memory was definitely still there.
Still there. Yeah.
So when you finish that kind of recruitment period, is there like I guess in like other sports they'd call it a probationary period where someone's not really on the team, but they're practicing and they're kind of working their way up to either, you mentioned that A team or that B team. Is that kind of a thing with you guys, or do they just go right in once they finish that recruitment period?
So it's kind of dependent on the skater themselves, right? So after that recruitment period, there's what we call a minimum skills test where every new recruit has to sort of go through this. And it's just a checklist of like, are you safe enough to practice with the team? Mm-hmm. And if you are, then you can move into practices with the B team. There have been skaters that have been, good enough that they come in and they can bypass the B team and start practicing with the A team, just depending on skill level. And then there are skaters that maybe they don't pass that minimum skills test right away. They'll keep practicing things sort of off to the side. And then when they're ready to retest, they can do that and hopefully join in on practices soon after.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they can travel with the Road Warriors or the Mad Maxines and start working it out.
Yeah.
So you've got, a full event lineup for the summer already kind of figured out, starting with your game this Saturday. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that summer lineup looks like for folks and where they can find information to help keep track of where you are at in your season?
Yes, of course. So our website is nocoastrollerderby.com. And you can also find No Coast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the good places. And on the website and social media, you can find our schedule there, as well as, posts about upcoming events, or maybe if we're helping out with a community event, where we're going to be. And so our first game is Saturday, June 7th, and we're going to be playing a team from Kansas and a team from South Dakota. And then we've got an away game where both our A and our B teams are traveling down to Springfield, Missouri. And then we've got our next home game July 19th. And I believe we are playing South Dakota and Omaha that night. So each of our games, we have what we call a doubleheader, right? The A team's going to play, and then the B team's going to play. And then our last game of the season is going to be on August 9th. And that's going to be our big 20th anniversary celebration, where we're planning some extra goodies. We're trying to make like a nice gallery wall that sort of shows the history of the league, some of the different pictures and team uniforms that have happened throughout the year, and probably some other surprises that we can't talk about yet.
No problem. We'll check back in when it's a little bit
check
closer.
back in, follow the socials, stay tuned.
That sort of thing. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, celebrating 20 years is a really big deal for any institution or organization here in Nebraska. That's quite the history. So can you talk a little bit about how it's different from when it got started? I mean, obviously, size is always going to be a difference. You've got more people now, I'm sure. But what other differences are folks who maybe watched a game 20 years ago and haven't been back are going to notice if they show up on Saturday to watch you guys play?
Yeah, and you mentioned numbers there, and honestly, I don't know. There might have been more skaters at some point in the past than there are now. The beauty of the sport is that it's always sort of been this grassroots, skater-owned and operated movement, right? It's a really lovely, inclusive space for all body types and genders to sort of be in the same space, working towards the same goals. We have different committees even within the league where you can sort of gain experience, whether you're joining the board of directors, or maybe you're captaining, maybe you're designing merch, maybe you're setting up for bout production. Like there's so many different pieces that go into running this roller derby league that it really takes all types, right? All of the skaters that are on this league come from different roles and different backgrounds, but all of that diversity helps us make the league function. But today, how that's a little bit different is the strategy, I would say. There has been so much growth in this game over the past 20 years about how teams are strategizing on the track and playing against one another. It just keeps evolving. People are getting smarter and coming up with different plays, and other teams have to respond to that. And that's a fun part of the sport, is understanding that and sort of finding new ways to stay relevant and stay competitive on the track. Other people, when they think of roller derby, think of the fishnets and the whips and the studded belts. Like that's not part of roller derby anymore. We've got uniforms, and it's a serious sport for a lot of people that are playing on these sanctioned teams.
Absolutely. I mean, the performance, so to speak, is a part of any sport.
Yes.
So I'm sure to some degree people always will associate the performance aspect with it, but that doesn't
Yes.
mean it's not a serious sport.
Yeah, right. And like the performance will still be there. You will still go to roller derby and see people hitting each other and see people falling all over the track. And there's going to be lots of oohs, oh, ooh, but that it's still fun.
And somebody will get tossed in the sin bin.
Yes, you know it. Yep. KZUM sin bin.
Truly one of the best marketing things we've ever done, in my opinion. Now, let's say that it's somebody's very first time going to a game. They hear about they're tuned in right now. They decide they want to go. They have no experience with roller derby whatsoever. How would you describe roller derby as a sport for somebody who has no idea what they're coming into?
Oof. Well, I would say it's a 5v5.
Mhm.
You've got 4 blockers on each team and 1 jammer on each team. The jammer is your point scorer. The blockers are simultaneously playing offense and defense, right? So their job is to block the opposing jammer, but also help their own jammer. And so as everyone is going around the track at once, there's different strategies in play to sort of do that, whether you're blocking or helping play offense. And luckily, at these bouts, we have skaters that will be walking around the stands who can answer questions, because there are so many rules and so many whistles being blown that it's a lot to sort of understand and grasp when it's your first time or your second time or your third time. But there's lots of friendly people at these bouts that can also help when you're like, what just happened there? Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what just happened there.
Sure, especially if you've got lots of noise and lots of lights and stuff happening.
Yes.
Imagine it's pretty
Yes.
confusing.
Yeah.
So you are a skater. What role do you play? Are you a blocker, a jammer?
I am a jammer.
Okay.
Through and through, yes. So I will be dancing on my tiptoes up the lines, trying to evade being hit by other blockers.
That sounds intense.
Yeah, it's fun though. I could not imagine myself being a blocker. So I will happily be the jammer that is trying not to get hit.
So it sounds to me like that takes a lot of trust in your teammates. Would you say that your teams are really close? I mean, you talked a little bit earlier about that social aspect.
Yeah. I mean, everyone that's coming to practice, right? We're all putting in at least 6 hours a week. We're spending a lot of time with each other. You get to know these people on and off the track. And that definitely helps with the success of the team. When you're closer and you can sort of just understand each other and know how each other skates, that makes it a lot easier when it comes to functioning as a team on the track.
Sure. And so with this Saturday's upcoming game, for most of you who are tuning in, it's somewhere between the 11:30 and the 12 o'clock mark. However, your game starts when?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. So
Yep.
Doors open early.
Doors open at 4 o'clock.
Right.
First whistle blows at 5, and then we have our second game starting at 7 o'clock.
All right. And
Yeah.
we already talked a little bit. They can find more information about the season on your website, on your social media page. Can they get tickets in person, or do they have to get them digitally?
Both. So you can buy tickets right at the door. If you want to have the best roller derby experience, you should look at getting trackside seating. And if you're going to go trackside, where you're very up close and personal with the skaters going around the track, I would recommend getting those in person, because sometimes those sell out. I'm sorry, getting those online, because sometimes they sell out.
Gotcha. And trackside, do they have to keep anything in mind with being that close to the stage?
You've got to be at least 18 years or older to sit trackside.
Okay.
But other than that, it's probably the best seat in the house.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
They can see everything from there, right?
Yes. Sometimes even the skaters slide right in, get real close to you on accident.
I mean, I guess I don't know for sure because I've never been at the ice box. There's like a wall, right? There's a wall separating.
Yes. So when I say trackside, so we set up the track for roller derby inside that rink where you're picturing the ice.
Yeah.
Underneath that ice is polished concrete that is really wonderful to skate on. It's a beautiful venue for us. And so around our track, we have enough space to line up seats on that concrete. So you're literally sitting trackside. So we have the track, and then we've got a 10-foot buffer where all the referees will be skating around during the game. And then there are seats right there.
I see. So when you say trackside, you mean literally trackside.
Literal trackside. Yes.
Not the other side of that little glass wall thing that's there.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
That makes way more sense.
I mean, if you haven't been, how would you be able to picture it?
Right. I mean, I can picture a skating ring. I get what's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
Wise. I would not have realized that the seats are literally trackside.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is so cool that you guys do that.
Yeah, it improves the experience for the fans, I'll say, when people can sit right there and really hear the wheels going by, and you can get the wind on your face from the skaters whooshing by. It's just a different experience.
Is that something you guys have always done as long as you've been on the team, or is that a new thing?
Nope, we've always done that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Gonna have a little geek out here really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's one of the fun things about this sport, is that the fans really get to interact with the skaters, whether it's the team that is on the track or, the A or B team that's not skating. They're just walking around the fans and sort of talking to people, helping explain the game, getting to know the fans. We sign trading cards too. It's just a different interaction than you see in a lot of other sports.
I did not know you have trading cards.
Yeah.
That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
So in that case, do you have merch at the games too, or is that an online exclusive thing?
No, merch is actually in-person exclusive thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And at this upcoming bout, we're going to have our Pride merch available.
Since it is the season.
Yep.
One of the things I noticed earlier is you talked about how the team is really welcoming to all kinds of body shapes and genders. So this is not like a woman-only team.
So we play in a league called Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association, or WFDA, as we call it. So when you think about hockey, you have the NHL, or football, you have the NFL. So sanctioned roller derby happens under WFDA. Not as lovely as saying NHL or NFL, but you get the gist. While it is the Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association, their definition of women is really inclusive and expands to, trans, cis, intersex, gender expansive, non-binary, just sort of capturing anybody that is female identifying or presenting.
That's really cool. So extra way to celebrate Pride Month there.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, I don't have any other questions for you this afternoon, Katie. Thank you so much for joining to talk about your 20th anniversary season in all of its glory, and about your upcoming game.
Of course. Thank you for having me on today.
Of course. Thank you. We are fast approaching the end of the hour, so here are your reminders for today. The KZUM Newsroom is always open to hearing about any questions, concerns, suggestions, or even any story ideas that you might want to share with us. All you have to do is give us a call at 402-474-5086, extension line 6. If you give us a call and we aren't available, don't forget to leave a voicemail. Or, if you aren't much of a phone person, you can also find our social media handles and more newsroom information at kzum.org under that About tab. Speaking of our website, if you happen to miss a show, you can always head to the KZUM News tab, where we archive all of our shows and include a transcript with links to that day's content. And lastly, I just want to give a shout out to Jack Rodenberg of the Rodenberg Music Experience. He put together all of the amazing original music that our news program uses. So once again, thank you, Jack. That wraps up our reminders for now. As you head out into the world, I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you for listening, and we hope you'll join us next time. You just finished listening to KZUM News, an original production of KZUM Radio that airs every Saturday at 11 a.m. Coming up next is Beta Radio, so stay tuned.